You know what? Let me also open up Audacity. The audio should be. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But hey, live and learn, test and see what happens. So.
That's essentially how I feel about life. Full of loneliness and misery and suffering and unhappiness, and it's all over much too quickly. The question is, have I learned anything about life?
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Essence of Zen After Dark. This is season 3, episode 2. I'm your host, Zane Blaylock. I'm joined today by my studious co-host. You love him, you know him, you want to be him, you want to get invited over so he can treat you to a nice egg omelet because this is the king of eggs. We'll get to that later today, but I'm talking about the one and only Lewis, that Mexican with a K. Sandoval. Lewis, how the hell are you?
Doing well. Yourself?
I am doing well as well. If the viewers who are watching the video version of the podcast might see anything in my braces and my teeth, I apologize. I had a meal earlier, so you might see some things in my braces. Also, the braces are coming off in February. Shocking.
Nice.
Yes, I've had these things for about three and a half years now, I think.
3 years too long.
Yes. Absolutely. Abso-friggin-lutely, man. Speaking of things taking too long, man, so for the listeners and viewers out there, Lewis told me earlier this week, hey, man, I'm fine to do the podcast Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. What works for you? And I'm like, okay, cool, Lewis, I appreciate that, man. Let's shoot for Friday, 8 p.m. Okay, well, Friday rolls around, and we're dating the episode. And it's like 7 something or whatever. I got to text Lewis, hey, you mind pushing it back to 8:30? Lewis, yeah, no problem. I got you. 8:30 rolls around. Couple minutes go by. I gotta send Lewis another text. Hey, still doing some setup. I'll be on in a minute or two. Jump on in a minute or two. Lewis was like, let me show you something, Zane. I've been here, prepared, wondering if I had the wrong time. Guess who's joining us visually on the video version of the podcast? Oh! Lewis, you are now visible for the video version of the podcast. Everybody, the Lewis cam.
Hello.
It's a glorious beard, man. And stash.
Really? I just shaved it like last week. Well, it is getting too hard to manage right now.
I am jealous. I shaved this like 3 weeks ago. This is 3 weeks worth of growing, and you've beat me in like a day or two. So
This is like 6 months, man. What are you talking
I
about?
think you just shaved. I thought you meant like yesterday.
No,
Oh.
I did, but it's still 6 months. I
Gotcha.
shaved off like a centimeter. It wasn't a lot.
Gotcha. You trimmed it. You trimmed it up.
Right.
Well, listeners and viewers, we have quite the show for you today. So, for a little bit behind the scenes lingo here, the second episode for this season was supposed to be a little bit more about the creative side and a little bit more about gaming. But our other co-host who was going to be joining us for that episode had to step away for some other matters. So we're going to get a little bit more technical again, back to back with this episode before the end of January. So on our docket for the day, I'm speaking and right now it's still on the Lewis cam. See, this is how it feels when on the other side, when you're not shown and you're just a disembodied voice. Oof. But Lewis, you heard about these the trouble in Sony's paradise around their PS5s? Oh, did I lose you? I can't hear you. Oh no. Technical difficulties. Hold on. Is it me? It could be me. Am I the problem? Am I the issue? Hold on. It's not a podcast until something goes wrong. Yeah, I think it disconnected from Discord. I'm not. Oh no, you're muted. Oh, hold on.
Oh, I'm muted. Look at that. I was just muted this entire time. Okay. All right, marker.
So Lewis, have you heard about this trouble in Sony's paradise when it comes to their PS5s?
Yeah, like 10 minutes ago.
What are your thoughts?
Oh man, that's pretty brutal. I mean, that's gonna end up ruining your PC. I was looking at some of these photos, and I was pretty horrified. Let's see, it was a different article, but let's see. Then I was relieved to find out that this issue kind of only exists when something else has been jostled inside the PS5, and then break something else. I'm like, oh, okay, it's not a manufacturing defect, but it is an inherent risk in having just liquid cooling in general now, because now your console is just more fragile in general.
And I didn't do my due diligence to bring this bit up because I just remembered it. But I remember Linus from Linus Tech Tips. You gotta love him, Linus Sebastian. Props out to my guy over there in Canada, our Canucks. He had like he read a, I can't remember if it was like a tweet or a comment or some form of documentation, but somebody was pointing out that this might be, as you mentioned, that it's not a manufacturing defect on Sony's end. And like, no, because as some YouTuber who I think was the first one to spotlight this issue, you know, he rectified his problem by coating the surrounding elements of the CPU with some type of grease or flux. So if there was spillage, it would keep the liquid metal from spilling onto important components. But that's not a solution. That's a Band-Aid fix. And as Linus pointed out, it might not even really truly be Sony's fault. It's whoever sourced their cooler. The cooler that sits on top of the CPU and, you know, squishes the thermal component beneath it, they should have proper sealing. So, you know, it's not a manufacturing defect on Sony's end. It's potentially and more likely a manufacturing problem on the sourcer of the cooler or the block. So
I see what you're saying. Though most people are just gonna blame Sony, though they're gonna like burn it on fires.
yes. And I mean, hey, look, if anybody out there wants to be so upset with Sony that they're feeling the urge to either burn, throw away, or make a TikTok video of smashing with the hammer or an axe, you know, I can send you guys a PO box to send your PS5s to. You know, for appropriate dismantlement and you know. Louis, you might get a PS5 for Christmas. You know.
Are they still having supply issues, or they finally got that sorted out?
You know, I think they did get things sorted out. I think PS5s are rolling out at a steady and easy rate. To so well, in fact, I believe Sony is preparing to launch. It's only a rumor and it's not on the show docket. But they're getting prepared to launch the PS5 Pro version. So, if
I think I heard a similar rumor. Yeah.
If you had difficulties getting a PS5 soon, when the PS5 Pro comes out, I assure you there will be plenty of stocks in the base PS5 to grab then. So, are you interested in a PS5 Pro?
I'm gonna wait. I don't think there's enough games out yet. There's a lot of ports over to it, and I don't really consider that like,
dude,
a reason enough.
On a completely honest, typical tangent of ours, Sony is starting to release a lot of their big games on PC like a year or two plus after. I might not even need to buy a PlayStation. Sony, do not listen to this and decide you want to stop porting games over to PC. All right.
Which games are you thinking of?
So the 2016-17, the God of War the first God of War that had Atreus, his son, in it, is out on PC currently. The Last of Us Part 1 releases on PC on March 3rd, I think. Horizon Zero Dawn.
Horizon's out already, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. That one's out.
Yeah, and they recently did the Uncharted collection on PC, I believe. So,
Hmm.
hey, look,
Interesting.
when sales begin to slow down on your consoles, throw on the PC, cause you still get money. If someone doesn't want to buy a console, they'll still buy your game. So,
Yeah, or can't, right?
but one thing that we can't buy, Lewis, is our safety on this planet if you have to nuke the center of the Earth. Have you heard about this?
Yeah, no, I've not.
Man, the older we get, it feels like every previous catastrophic apocalyptic action movie that we've had in our past is coming to fruition. So in 10 years from now, when the zombie apocalypse hits, our generation will be prepared. Partially. Maybe. But no, what I'm talking about, of course, is the fact that scientists are worried, or not necessarily worried, but they're speculating that the Earth's inner core may start a reversing in terms of the direction that it spins at in the next couple of years, maybe a decade or so. And of course, this sparked a lot of people to point out that back in 2003, was it 2003? The movie The Core release is what I'm trying to get at. Let me see. This is live hitting journalism. Yeah, 2003 is when the movie The Core came out, basically covering this same, I almost said plot, but this isn't a plot, this is real life. But yeah, scientists basically nuke the inner core of the Earth to flip it back to its normal direction, and that's how the world was saved, and stop people from disintegrating and etc.
That's where your reference comes from. Like, I don't think I understand the reference. I seriously control F the articles. Like, we're not actually thinking of nuking, are we? Because I think that's a terrible idea.
Yes.
Regardless if we think what's gonna happen. Yeah, okay, I get the reference. Like, yeah, it seems interesting. They're saying they're predicting it might make some days longer. Or it could change the time. But, like, I don't understand how that can happen. But okay.
I am now seeing a tweet from the head twit himself saying that just like how we should nuke the the poles of Mars, we should nuke the inner core of Earth. So says Elon Musk. I'm joking. He didn't really say that. I'm making a joke.
Oh, I mean, he's got the rockets. Let's go for it.
Oh,
then.
yeah.
I think so. Let's go. Tell me when.
Meanwhile, you got Bezos sitting in his office. How do I capitalize on this?
Or Bezos and his rocket project. What's his called? Sky something? Blue Earth?
Blue
Blue-
Origin? Is it?
I think it's Blue Origin, yeah. The one that doesn't just get as much attention because he just didn't send a car to the moon or just out to outer space.
Yeah, but he does like sending phallic symbols into space, that's for sure. Because his rocket looks like that. Wasn't there an Austin Powers bit like that?
I don't remember, but if it's Austin Powers, I can believe it. It's because it just sounds like such an Austin Powers thing.
Yeah, because Dr. Evil launches a space shuttle, and it's in the shape of like something phallic, and they cut through a bunch of different scenes, like at a baseball game where the coach looks up and he goes, "Oh man, it looks like a giant," and then it cuts to like a hot dog seller, "Wiener, get your wieners. Anybody want a wiener? Oh my God, that's a big long dong. Dong, pay attention in class."
Oh my God.
So, but I digress. Look, a lot of scientists believe that the actual changing of the direction of the inner core probably won't be anything catastrophic. In fact, they believe that they have enough evidence that indicates the Earth inner core actually changes approximately around every 75 years. So, first we had astronomy about what sign you was born under. Now we're going to say what generation of inner core direction were you born in or on. Whichever.
Sounds like a BuzzFeed quiz.
Oh my God. It's, we're going to talk about sites like BuzzFeed a little bit. No, actually, it might be in the show notes, actually. I may have added it recently. Someone had stocks that shot up after they made mention of what they're gonna do for their articles. No, I don't think I added it, or did I? Oh shoot! Hold on, give me 1 second. This is actually kind of juicy. This might be a spur of the moment tangent. Hold on.
All right.
Okay, it was all right. Oh, okay. So I don't think I have this on the show. As a matter of fact, I know I don't have it currently because I'm looking at it. BuzzFeed stocks went up by like $150. Do you know why?
Why?
They mentioned they're going to start using AI in some of their articles.
What?
Yeah.
Why is We're getting rid of all the people. Hooray! Let's make the robots do it. I don't get it.
You know, we'll go ahead.
I just don't see BuzzFeed as anything like hard hitting or like it's like a silly millennial news site with quizzes and pop culture stuff. Like it's, I don't know, it's like GQ or something, right?
There are two good things or two phenomenal things that came from BuzzFeed. One, Quinta, the creator of Abbott Elementary. Her skits on BuzzFeed were top notch, and she moved on to bigger and better things. And if you have not seen Abbott Elementary, I highly recommend you go see it. She recently won She won an award for it. And two, the Ghoulie Boys, Ryan and Shane. If you have not seen their videos on the BuzzFeed channel, it's called like Mysteries Unsolved and Paranormal Unsolved. It's a hilarious show. But then they broke away from BuzzFeed last year and created Watcher, their new company, which if you haven't seen it, again, go check them out. Not sponsored, but phenomenal content.
Are you spell Wooly? I think I found something else.
How you spell what?
How'd you say that? Woolly Boys? Like
Oh, no, the Ghoulie Boys.
Ghoulie. Okay. I looked at Woolly Boys and I got completely different results.
You're gonna end up with some salacious content about some muscular burly men wearing wool knit sweaters.
I mean, it's close. There's some like 4 guys like in some western type like backdrop wearing hats on horses. I'm like, oh, is this like a Brokeback Mountain clone or something? But anyway, okay, it's Ghoulie Boys.
Yes. Yes, go check out the Ghoulie Boys. They're now known as Watcher. Good stuff. But yeah, so 75 years, the Earth inner core changes. Yada yada yada. Whatever. Next topic. Oh, okay. This is a juicy one. The government and documents. So, you got any just quick off the cusp of your head thoughts on the fact that our government does not know how to hold any top secret content whatsoever?
Either I don't know, they lose it or they don't keep it under wraps, or someone's like, wow, we've been doing what, and they leak it.
Yeah. Pretty much. And I will say, because again, this is not a political podcast, we are not going to cover, nor do we really care about the political sides of how they do this. Everybody, from the president on down to even other areas of the government, are not good at keeping their documents. And if you really want to dive deep into this subject, I highly recommend you go check out Jon Stewart's The Problem with Jon Stewart's podcast, where he actually sits down with Professor, how do you say his name? Cannoli? Kennelly. And this professor, he's a professor at, I believe, Harvard? Or I forget the place. Apologies, professor. But he wrote a book that talks about the path to classified documents, how they're classified, how they get out, how they escape, how they leak, and etc. And it's a very great deep dive, and also kind of frightening because it really just shows you how No, you think things are as tightly knit as you think? No, absolutely not. And to go a step further to show you how hilarious secret classified documents are and where they can be found, a while ago, and let me switch the video so the viewers can see this. There's a game called War Thunder, which is about playing like tanks and ships and things to fight in wars, all virtual, no big deal. They have a forum, and a person went to the forum and was just like, "Man, y'all aren't doing y'all research. This isn't accurate. This isn't this isn't authentic. Here, let me show you these blueprints to this classified top secret document about the blueprints to this tank so you guys can model it correctly." And this person uploaded, which I'm assuming means he works for the government in the military. He uploaded legitimate classified documents of the blueprints of top secret specs for this tank onto a gaming forum. You know what this reminds me of, Lewis?
What does it remind you of, Zane?
Remember like 5 to 8 years ago, if you would go on Facebook and you would see people, the government is trying to hack into my account to see what I'm doing on Facebook.
I don't think I remember that. I've also not been on Facebook for a few years, but go on.
Smart man. But no, people don't need to hackers don't need to hack your account on Facebook to see what you're doing because you readily make it available. You readily put your business out there and you do not make the settings to keep things private, so it's open worldwide. Same thing here. We don't need spies to infiltrate the government. We don't need these espionage 007-esque layers of agents, skilled in optics and maneuvering through things and, picking these little chewing gum and putting it on the keypad to hack the thing and open a door to get in, pull the file cabinet open, put the flashlight in your mouth as you shift through by hand on the documents. No, you just go to a gaming forum and you might find top classified secrets. So,
I was telling my wife a joke about this the other day, telling her that it's way easier to just use social engineering than to just using I was using the example of like being in a coffee shop, right? And just using a VPN is just good security practice in case someone's snooping and got like a fake Wi-Fi network. They can take some of your unencrypted traffic or whatever. But I was telling her like it's just way easier to just steal someone's laptop and then just clone it and try to take information out of it. Like I was telling her, like, oh, I could just walk up to like some lady and be like, hey, like my daughter's stuck in the bathroom. She's been there for like 5 minutes. Can you like go check on her? Her name's like Ada or something. Just make sure she's there. And then just like have a buddy of yours or someone just like take their laptop or swoop it while they're like going into the bathroom distracted. Like it's just way easier to do that and to like, whip out Kali Linux, brute force their machine through the network. Like it's just easier to do social engineering attacks. Way easier.
Do you know what helps make social engineering even easier?
Phishing attacks?
Yes, and this isn't a segue to our next topic. It's more of a tangent again.
Okay, good.
When you have a multi-billion-dollar company buy a bank, it then forces them to change the login from a username or email and password to just be a phone number, and then use a OTP that gets texted to that phone number.
Oh, and it's like I imagine like a 5-digit number OTP, not like mixed alpha. Yep.
So what I'm alluding to here is when I had my month vacation from my day job, I almost had my bank account. Well, my bank account did get breached, but I caught onto it because I had noticed they were sending me the same OTPs as the login. So and maybe you should not have a phone number as a login to a banking system. Anyway, I should sue.
Oh yeah, perhaps I suppose.
One thing I can't sue though, farmers and their eggs. Lewis,
No.
fill me in on the egg situation, man. Mr. King of Eggs.
Okay. So, um, I live now in South Dakota, and I remember seeing eggs kind of like disappearing around Thanksgiving. I didn't think much of it. I'm like, oh, well, I mean, okay, like people are just making a lot of egg dishes right now. Whatever. Like it'll subside after Thanksgiving is over. And then we got hit with the blizzard, and then there was nothing available. So I was like, okay, whatever. After the blizzard, things will come back. And they didn't. And then I started asking like other friends, like, hey, do you guys have an issue with eggs or anything? Like, no, we're good with eggs, this and that, yada, yada, yada. And then a few weeks ago, now my friends are complaining about the eggs, like, hey, oh my God, look at eggs. There's no eggs available. And if there's like eggs, like these organic ones at like, $20 for like 6 eggs or something. So I think I got hit with it early. Just didn't realize it. But yeah, they're pricey right now.
Yeah, apparently it's also tied into the whole bird flu epidemic. Um, just like, and I'm so tired of quote unquote epidemics in general because a lot of times people treat it as if it's the first and only ever situation like this. Bird flu has been a problem in like various different cycles throughout the U.S. history. We've had mad cow disease as well. I don't remember. Actually, people might have forgot about mad cow.
Yeah, no, yeah, the whole like prions and all that. Yeah, no, I agreed. It's nothing new. I think the only thing that's making it worse right now is it's like the bird flu combined with like the supply chain issues.
Yes.
That's making it real bad.
So it must be like I imagine chicken farmers having courtside seats to Laker games, sitting next to Drake, uh, hanging out with Kendrick Lamar.
Then I got like seats reserved like on Elon Musk's like rocket ship to the moon now.
So it's a good time to be a farmer. So if you can find some healthy chickens and you want to start a short chicken farm, I mean, $13 for a dozen eggs nowadays. Crazy times. Crazy times.
If I think if you look at the Google Trends and look at how to how to start like a chicken coop or how to like anything related to chickens, you'll see the results start to go up.
Oh my goodness. Well, you know what else is going up, Lewis?
Not my 401k.
Oh, 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 oh! That hit me personally, man. That's
Have you checked that lately?
yo. My stocks aren't going up either, man. God, I gotta stop checking on the daily because it is depressing. But no, oh no, credit fraud, man, credit fraud. Specifically, credit fraud from your own pets. Specifically, even more so, pet fish. So there's this story, and it's wild to me because it's like I I expect this. Say if like you got Twitch plays Pokemon, where people have their fancy bots where the chat can make statements or whatever to troll a video game character.
Right.
And I've seen things done like that too, where they have a fish and they have like tape on the fish bowl with different things, and when the fish hits an area over that tape, it triggers a signal to the computer. It's like move left, up, down, right, whatever. But no. This person's pet fish commits credit card fraud on owner using a Nintendo Switch, and I can't. I don't. In the Discord, when this was brought up in the general chat, I was like, no. The first thing I would do was take that fish and put him on a grill, and probably contact my lawyers. Can you? I don't. Actually, I don't. Did he get his money back? Actually, hold on. They even call it identity theft. Oh my goodness.
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. I
Oh,
was gonna say that the thing that was more interesting to me was I didn't know that the same fish had completed Pokemon Sapphire in 3,195 hours. I thought that was hilarious. Like, what? A fish beat Pokemon Sapphire. It only took him 3,195 hours. So that's 133 days. Wow.
yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, okay. Also, Nintendo did grant the request to have a refund, so good on Nintendo. Because I was about to say, typically when stuff like this happens, Nintendo goes ghost.
A nice, funny, wholesome one. Yeah, that one's pretty funny.
And yeah, that wraps up our intro to the show. I guess we're gonna start getting into the juicier topics. More specifically, man, when you sent this to me, I could not stop laughing. So Xbox wants to promote, green change culture, which I'm all for, but I don't know, man. Like to me, this sounds like patting yourself on the back for something really, really simple. Is that just me?
Like, are they even try now? They're just dragging their feet and then making like a blog post about it. Like, oh, okay, do you want to introduce it, Zane? It's like what Xbox actually did here.
Okay, yeah, sure. Xbox is like, hey, we're pushing out an update for standards around power management for our consoles, that being the Xbox Series X and S and anything going forward, and potentially other products in the Xbox line. All getting these updates for this, right? It wants to find the most opportune time of day when you're not using your console to then put the system in a state that has incredibly low power draw, thus lowering the carbon footprint, utilized by all the devices. Again, great idea, good idea. But to sum it up, it's just, yeah, we're going to use less power when you're not using our stuff. That's pretty much it. Unless you have anything else to spice it up, Lewis.
Yeah, just it's okay. So to their credit, in the comments, if we're real on them, they did say that they're also reducing the use of plastics and other non-renewable products in the rest of their line. Like they mentioned something about their gift cards, instead of being made out of plastic, they're gonna be made out of paperboard. Like, okay, I mean, yeah, that makes sense. People just use it once and then just throw it away. So okay, cool. And using more eco-friendly packaging. Cool, great, right? Um, but they're saying like if this many Xboxes use this like power save mode that completely shuts down the Xbox, they'll end up planting X amount of trees. I forgot how many trees now it was, but it was, I don't know. I remember joking with you earlier when I first posted this, saying, I mean, all the paper that they're using for these more renewable or biodegradable like packaging things, they're kind of just ending up at net zero, I think. But not only that, I mean, I'll give them credit for trying, but I just don't think they're trying very hard here. It's very hard to try to optimize something that's meant to suck up a lot of energy to run some like AAA titles. So I think they need to figure something else out.
I agree wholeheartedly, and I I want people to understand that there is nuance in all things that exist. So hopefully people won't pin us thinking that we are completely anti-green. Like no, it's good to go green. It's good to be more efficient and optimized with energy usage and cutting down on waste. But what I'm saying here is the conundrum of essentially what was it back in the 70s or the 80s with the whole switch from paper bags to plastic bags, because
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
we use paper bags at grocery stores, but then we were getting a little too conscious about like the effects of large scale logging, killing too many trees. So we went to plastic bags. But then we have plastic being, everywhere in garbage and in the seas and the waters, pollutants. We have microplastics now. So then people was like, okay, well, go back to either paper bags or the bring your own store bags. Same situation here. we are trying to find one area to emphasize on going green while completely ignoring or not doing accurate amount of changes in other spaces to keep the actual change moving forward. It's always going to be a give or take when you want to jump over core issues or core problems and use band-aid solutions. At least from my perspective, I am not a what would you call an eco scientist? I don't.
Ecologist? I don't know.
See, right there, because we don't know, we're not professionals in this area. So you know what? I would try to find somebody who is. I'm gonna send out an email and see if we can't do like a 30-minute, 45-minute interview talking about the effects of the environment and the choices by various different businesses. But again, as I always say when it comes to Microsoft, I applaud you for your 2 steps forward, but I am constantly in fear of the reluctant pattern of going 5 steps back. So we'll see if they manage.
Nice try, Microsoft. We'll try again. Or you'll try again.
You said we are. Is this breaking news that Lewis might be working with Microsoft in the coming future?
Oh no, I probably will not work for Microsoft ever.
That's a fair sentiment. Speaking of other companies that I would never work for, have you heard about Apple getting caught not being as green as they say they are?
I want to say yeah, probably like years ago, but what's this time around?
So this comes from, and so shout out to our guy who's now in Texas. Oddly enough, we were talking about Texas earlier. Louis Rossman. So Louis Rossman was contacted by or came across some news from one of his contacts and friends in regards to how Apple treats basically not necessarily even recycling, but handling used laptops. They have a series of used MacBooks, and Apple has a protocol in place where they don't want said devices to be sold on the third-party market. Now, they'll claim it's for security. They don't want people's devices that might be potentially stolen to end up, at a pawn shop and then circulated, and then that the original user's data is now in jeopardy. And if you can take it to a quote-unquote repair shop, then they might be able to get access to that data, and that's why right to repair is bad, etc. It's a rabbit hole in that nonsense. But no. So to avoid said security issue, what Apple does is when they get their hands on used MacBooks, they grind them up into dust and waste all of those precious materials.
So before we dive deeper, how do they get their hands on these used devices? Are like they device trade-in so they get upgrades to like the latest and greatest?
Some of them are device trade-ins. Some of them are like Apple reaching out to certain places like eBay, Amazon, etc., and saying like they don't want to allow selling used products of theirs on said stores, which is why if you actually notice a decrease in certain Apple products on sites like eBay and Amazon, etc., they're alluding to that being the reason. So there's probably more to it. I'm not privy to it, but we do have a link that we'll have in the show notes as well as in the comment section for the video version of the YouTube, linking towards this video by Louis Rossman, who also sources and links to the original content from his contact and friend. But yeah, man, it's I just don't know. I cannot fathom, because if it truly was about security and not allowing certain information and data to get out to the public, they would have better systems in place around, wiping a drive or wiping content, being able to set a setting on your personal account to say that, hey, if this device ever comes back online and connect to the internet, send a immediate command to begin wiping the data on it. And then also ping out the last known location. There you go. And we know this is doable because Apple does stuff like this with some of their latest products, i.e. things like the Apple, the little pucks, the little tracker device.
The AirTags. Yeah. So actually, before I begin that tangent, Let me go back and ask. So benefit of the doubt. Apple does have a refurbished section on their website, like apple.com/shop/refurbished. So perhaps maybe some of the ones that aren't as old that they could still sell, they throw up on there, they spit shine them, and then they voila, make some of the money back.
That
Um,
does happen. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Continue.
and I was gonna say too, what if like grinding it down is part of the recycling process?
So I don't so to the second part I don't think so, because at that point the amount of materials that are like, because I don't think you're able to easily recycle like the metals, the cobalt, etc. when everything is like mixed in with the plastic, the carbon, and etc. Because I don't think they sift through. I could be wrong, not 100% sure, but I'm trying to find the exact time stamp because where is it?
Yeah, I'm not too familiar actually. Now that we bring it up on like device recycling, and I don't know if they do something like when they do like blood tests and they do like this little separator thing, and like this floats up here, that floats up there, like this thing sinks to the bottom like a liquid sort of separation with the dust. I don't know. I have no idea. If someone knows anything more, just post in the comments. I'd be interested in learning more. But yeah, just benefit of the doubt. That maybe that's what's going on there, and this is just like I don't know, a false positive for once with Apple.
It might be. It might be. I'm trying to find the exact quote here from his contact, because the contact of Louis Rossman deals with refurbished repair. Okay, here it is. The contact, excuse me, is John Bumsteed. And let me make sure the video version has view. So, in this tweet, he comments out. He says, "As I predicted years ago, activation locked T2 MacBooks are flooded into recyclers. 15 of these are 2020 M1, so essentially very recent devices. Recyclers willing to violate the R2 cert sale to uncertified barbarians like me, as in John Bumstead, who use them for parts, but most just scrap due to liability paranoia." So then he also follows up by saying, "How many of you out there would like a 2-year-old M1 MacBook? Well, too bad, because your local recycler just took out all of the activation lock logic boards and ground them up into carcinogenic dust." And that's part of the cycle bit there as well, right? So they actually might get recycled for like raw resources, but even then, there's always going to be a net loss. I watch a few YouTube channels that do like basic metal recycling. There's always going to be loss when you continue to smelt down and etc. But then again, I also don't know how easy it is to get those materials from carcinogenic dust. Whereas this guy, John, simply wants these old devices to utilize as parts. He'll be able to take, either the CPUs, fans, conductors, resistors, etc., chips, you name it.
Chassis. I mean, it's all aluminum.
Yeah, and repurpose it and save not only money for customers, you save on resources. You're truly being green in that case. And again, if it was truly about security, you could easily implement very simple things that prevents data leakage. And no, I'm not talking about the BS plan that currently exists by Apple, where you can pay tens of thousands of dollars to get the official Apple repair tools, and then you have to replace something, and then call an 800 number, stay on a wait call or wait list for a bit before you give them an activation code for them to then approve the swap of something like a battery or a screen on an iPhone. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go check out Snazzy Labs. He actually did the process of contacting Apple for those parts and the tools, and actually did a repair swap out himself. And while he says it wasn't as tenuous or stressful to do, it just seems like like stupid with some of the. Okay,
I don't buy the security argument. I mean, okay, to me it sounds like one or two things. Like you guys aren't confident enough in your own security that you think it's gonna be easily crackable, or it's just BS. That's the only two ways I see it.
In fact, Louis Rossman even stated how his shop used to deal with, checking to see if a device was stolen. apparently when a user would sign into a new MacBook and add their profile and stuff to it, it would flash and store that iCloud email account onto a chip on the board. So all he has to do is open the device up, take one of his components, and it has like a little prong on it. You attach it to it, start it up, run some current through it, and you can pull raw data, and he could get that email. From that email, he would then email and say, "Hey, I have a MacBook that has your I forgot the I just said it earlier. Apple ID?
Yeah, Apple ID.
Yeah. On it, did you sell this or was it stolen?" And then sometimes he would get back, "Yeah, no, I sold it on Craigslist like so many years ago or during this time." Sometimes he got, "Oh no, yeah, it was stolen at a coffee shop. I thought I would never get it back. Can you please send it to me?"
But I was telling her, like, it's just way easier to just steal someone's laptop and then just clone it and try to take information out of it. Like, I was telling her, like, oh, I could just walk up to, like, some lady and be like, "Hey, like, my daughter's stuck in the bathroom. She's been there for, like, 5 minutes. Can you, like, go check on her? Her name's, like, Ada or something. Just make sure she's there." And then just, like, have a buddy of yours or someone just, like, take their laptop or swoop it while they're, like, going into the bathroom distracted. Like, it's just way easier to do that.
And he would just send it to them free of charge because, good guy Rossman. I understand that that's not everybody, but clearly there is a system in place that could be utilized to do something simple like that. So,
Since you brought up the AirTags a bit, I did want to say like those are kind of getting abused too. I was seeing. I'm hearing that man, I forgot where the article was now. But if I remember the article off the top of my head, it was essentially a culmination of stories about these women saying that they had been stalked by an ex or by someone that they had just gone on a first date with or something, or a second date. And they found like these little AirTags, and they found it strange that these like people just kind of always like encounter each other, like, oh, thinking it's accidental when it really wasn't. And they're trying to get Apple to I think they're trying to sue Apple or do some sort of class action lawsuit against them because they're saying they made them too useful. I'm like, what? But anyway, I think the argument that the article was making was that it used to be like a higher bar to try to stalk people, but now these like AirTags, I think they're like $30 or $35 a pop. You can just buy those, buy a ton, just like throw them in like women's purses when they're not looking, then just stalk them. And actually, because of that, I realized that Apple actually made an app for Android. I forget what it's called. I haven't installed on my phone because that was kind of neat. But it was an app to essentially scan if there's any AirTags around you, so that women who don't have Apple phones and just have like Android phones would know if there's kind of just been an AirTag around them, and they could just check their belongings if they suspect an AirTag that's been placed on them. One thing to note about the app though is it's kind of useless in my opinion because it doesn't do a background search. You have to open it up every single time and then hit scan because it doesn't scan in the background like an Apple device would.
See. Yeah, this is just that's a sticky situation on all sides. I do gotta mention though, how down bad do you have to be like, "Hello, my lady. Fancy meeting you here randomly for the 30th time in a week." Mm-hmm. Like, dudes, like, look, if you feel like you you want to stalk somebody, first go to therapy, get a psychiatrist, and potentially just get a dating app and just talk to people. Just talk to people. This is Zenly advice to prevent you from becoming a stalker. Okay? Seek therapy, find a psychiatrist, get a dating app, and just naturally talk to people. You will get better at talking, and you might find somebody who is just as weird and creepy as you, and be a match made in heaven. Or Jim Belushi's closet, since you like stalking people.
Agreed. But I was just kind of like dumbfounded, like, what? You're gonna sue them for just making a good product? I don't know. They said they're gonna release something to make it more stalker proof or whatever that means. I'm like, okay.
You want to know who I'm trying to find a decent way to segue. Oh, yeah. You know who I would like to stalk, Lewis?
Who would you like to stalk?
Really bad, and hopefully people understand this is a joke. Matt Farrell.
This is gonna get pulled out of context.
I just love the way Matt Farrell's bald and shiny head just. I'm joking again. But no, real talk. When you posted the bit about the bricks being used as a power storage medium, I was like, oh yeah, I think I know a YouTuber who did a video about that. Only to realize the video you posted was by the same person, but off of Odyssey. Yeah, I was like, oh, yeah. Awesome. This dude, because I told you about like the using poop as a power medium.
Yeah, I think you told me about that.
All of those were I learned from this guy. So
yeah, I watch his stuff every now and then. Yeah, I like his takes.
Cool dude. So do you want to get into the description around this whole using bricks as a power medium for storage?
Yeah. So it's pretty neat. There's this company, and now I forget the name of the company, but I might remember for the right price. But there's this company that is basically grinding up bricks, and collecting them basically in a huge like little what looks like a shipping container, an insulated shipping container, and they basically heat up this pile of bricks, and it can stay warm enough for I don't know how many days. I don't even think they use days. I think it depends. But essentially, it's a battery that's made out of renewable, non-toxic components. I mean, they're just bricks. It's not going to cause you cancer or something when you inhale it. It's not going to pollute the soil when you have to add water to it. And it just keeps the energy as it's supposed to be used. So they're using it in situations where you need heat to begin with. So let's say like a smelting plant, right? You need a lot of heat to bring up those like giant vats of like iron to the right temperature. They're thinking of using it in applications where you need heat and when the grid is down, so you can continue operation. And there was an example there, I don't remember the country, but in South America, where this company is able to switch between two different power sources, between the city's power grid, and then it was either solar or wind energy. Whenever they're able to switch between them and use this like giant like organic earth battery or brick battery, sorry. I thought it was a pretty neat concept. It's basically just storing it as heat. It's just like a giant oven essentially, well insulated oven.
I like stuff like this specifically because it brings forth a type of discussion to be had. Because I don't know if people are seeing the pattern as I make allusions to various different podcasts and YouTube individuals and whatnot. I listen to a lot of varied topics during my day job and my commute, etc. Neil deGrasse Tyson is from Star Talk Radio. Highly recommend the podcast as well. In the past, he's talked about the mind-bogglingness of just why are we not utilizing so much other types of power and storage and mediums? We have volcanoes that are giving off thermal heat without being active for like hundreds of years. That's easy power right there, easy energy. And then so when you see things like this, and I believe in the video by Matt on Undecided for both Odyssey and YouTube, he talks about these systems aren't new. There are places like in New York that have similar concepts where they transfer that heat throughout the entire city districts from centralized pipage, right? You got other countries that do this as well. So yeah, man, let's do this. Let's go. Let's go. Right now. Get me a contractor. I want bricks under my home, and I want them to be hot. I want them to be salacious, dripping, ready to and I'm gonna get kicked off YouTube if I continue this conversation any longer about some hot bricks. And I'm not talking about okay, I gotta mark that because I gotta bleep that in post. Actually,
gonna upload it, or our video's gonna just turn yellow. I don't think we're monetized anyway. But actually, that reminds me. Have you seen or have you heard about geothermal heat pumps?
In general, yes, unless there's been like a recent advancements in that technology field.
I mean, I don't know when you last checked. I was just looking into that. I was like, I wonder how much one of those things cost. Because, heating and cooling is pretty expensive.
Yes.
Yeah, where they like drill down, like I think 10 feet or something below the Earth's surface, and then just basically just install pipes in your backyard, underground pipes.
Yeah.
And that's enough to cool
Actually,
and heat.
I think there's a Matt Farrell video about that. Actually,
Is there?
I think so. Hold on.
That sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah, and it's also some of the concept that Louis Sebastian from Linus Tech Tips also talked about. I don't know if you've seen his his new house and how he's trying to get a pool installed, but he now runs water pipage through his server room in the basement, out through the walls, through the flooring of the house, and then eventually to the pool. And the reason being is he wants to not waste the thermal energy from the server rack or the server room, and wants to use it to heat the house and the pool, while also taking advantage of the general benefits from having the hoses run through the actual ground of the property. So this is interesting concept. We'll see what it looks like when he finally gets it completed.
Yeah, I heard about that, and I was kind of thinking, like, man, like, how much heat does that thing produce? Because you're also up in Canada, man. Like, I think that pool's gonna freeze regardless, whatever you do.
Yeah.
You get pretty toasty up there. Frozen north. So, I mean, I hope it ends up well, but I don't have much hope. I think he's got more hope. I'm sure he'll come up with a video thumbnail like, oh my god, look what happened to my pool. He's got some weird expression on his face. I don't know. We'll see.
The typical YouTuber, like,
Right.
I know the audio only listeners are like, what faces are they making? I can't hear faces.
I'll have to tune in.
Give us double the insights or metrics. I think metrics is the word I'm looking for. Not sure.
Yeah, I think so.
Sorry. Also, I'm looking through Matt Farrell's video catalog trying to find the geothermal.
It sounds like something that he would have come up with, so I wouldn't be surprised. I remember seeing his like recent videos on him like making his getting his house built or something.
Yeah,
that's pretty neat.
It is. I genuinely am more interested in the I'm gonna say 3D printing, but like just the printing and fabrication of modularized segments for bigger constructions in general. And that's an interesting field to keep I guess updated on or in the know on. Okay, this is the last set of videos I'm gonna look at before I call it quits. And calling it quits. Okay, find it later. What's next on our docket? We're finally getting into the big discussion.
No.
So let me just preface this now, so it's said on the record and will be online where the internet has full access to view and hear this. I, for one, await and welcome our future overlords of robots and artificial intelligence and software and all hell Terminator and what's the other thing called? Skynet, you know.
Oh, there you go, yeah.
And Skynet's boss, ChatGPT. So, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm referring to here is we're going to be talking about artificial intelligence as a whole, and the incredibly fast uptake on like this entire industry being warped by OpenAI, the company that owns ChatGPT. And Lewis, I'm not sure if you have any particular or specialized interest on it, because I remember and I recall that your degree is in a focus or concentration on artificial intelligence. So let's hear from the king of eggs.
I find it funny that it's my new nickname. So my stance on ChatGPT and all this is still, and it probably will be for a long time, is that it's just another fancy tool, just AI in general. It's basically a pretty advanced pattern recognition system. That's still my stance. I don't think it's gonna really replace many jobs. OpenAI. I don't think any developers can get fired over this OpenAI thing or this ChatGPT thing in general. What's the other one that reminds me of it? The GitHub one, Copilot. There you go. Yeah, I don't think anyone's gonna be losing their job over that. I think they're cool, neat, fancy little tools, but I don't think anyone's gonna be replaced over it.
Okay, I will say, I cannot confirm or deny. I'm just gonna say that I would imagine that in certain enterprise environments, it would not be uncommon to potentially see somebody who has a job as a developer. When asked about ChatGPT, their first response is, "I do not think Company X should allow any integration of ChatGPT anywhere near products that one might be working on in said hypothetical company." So
What did Zane say it?
try not to get fired. Anyway, I do genuinely agree with you, but at the same time, I do think some people, not on a large scale, but say in the next 5 years, I do think people will lose their jobs to tools like this, unrightfully so. So like mistakenly on management's end, right? We've already saw that people or platforms such as Stack Overflow has banned ChatGPT from accessing its API due to people already utilizing ChatGPT to inadvertently, potentially some might be done purposely. What's what I'm looking for? Plagiarizing code that's been submitted and talked about and discussed on Stack Overflow. And people use code and references all the time, but in a professional setting, one would hope that you citate.
Yeah. Reference maybe.
Yeah, whose code you are using, and ChatGPT does not pull where they source their searches from, and so that's causing a bit of friction. Doubly so, while we're at it, I do want to point out that we had situations like CNET, who was apparently utilizing artificial intelligence. I'm pretty sure it was ChatGPT, but I'm not 100% sure. But they were using AI to write some of their articles. And, they got caught because there were still like blatant factual errors and spelling mistakes and stuff. So it's good to see that you can still identify artificial intelligence making something versus, I say that though I know a lot of people who can type an article and have a bunch of factual errors and typos. So maybe not, Lewis. I don't know. But
yeah,
it
is a reflection of us.
I don't know overall, man. Like and not even just CNET. We just talked about BuzzFeed. BuzzFeed talked about they're going to use artificial intelligence to help with their articles. I can't help but think they're going to let some of their writers go if they've not already done so.
The articles might be decent. That's a possibility there in this case.
Emotional damage.
No, that's the real reason why BuzzFeed wants to use AI, because they can't find decent writers because all the good ones always leaves. So.
In BuzzFeed's case, I retract my previous statement.
Listeners and viewers, we don't have beef with BuzzFeed. We don't. I promise you, we do not have beef with BuzzFeed.
I do, come at me.
I was gonna say we don't have beef with BuzzFeed because BuzzFeed don't want none of this mess. You know. Yeah.
Oh man.
BuzzFeed don't want none of this, Lewis. Yeah.
I was like picking on them a lot.
Oh, let me not cut my my headphones wire. Also, don't try this at home. I don't want to be liable for any of somebody knucklehead children trying to take a knife and trying to shave what doesn't exist in their adolescence.
Those are your Sennheisers too, right? No more of those.
But yeah, man. So, do you think the current interest in artificial intelligence is like currently a fad that will stay around? But do you think like the fact that it's hot right now is a fad?
I think. Well, I think that's hot right now is a fad. It's just that, like, it's kind of like crypto right now, right? You slap crypto this, blockchain that, right? It might attract some investors who are very a little green behind the ears, right? It's, like, I see the AI in the similar regard. I think it's useful. I think it's neat. I think it could help us solve some interesting issues. Actually, a friend and I were talking about the other day. He's a big Pokemon fan. And I didn't realize. Well, he was actually telling me that compared to these other people, he's not a really big Pokemon fan because there's some like really really big like Pokemon fans out there. We were talking about how I'll try to keep it short, but we were talking about how there's people that manipulate this thing called the Pokemon RNG, the Pokemon like number generator thing, to try to like figure out which seed that they're playing on, to try to figure out the probability of them like hitting this boss at this time with this attack. If you time the frames correctly, you'll end up critting with this character, or they'll end up like with a higher chance of using this ability. Like he went into like great detail of like how serious some people take this game. He's like, yeah, and a lot of these people are like super determined. They spend so many hours trying to speedrun this game. And we were talking about it, and he said, you know what? Like a little AI bot would be good for all this, wouldn't it? I'm like, oh yeah, statistics and number crunching. Just feed it all that data, let it do like a million runs of Pokemon, and like figure out which seed is the best one for speedrunning. Like that's a job AI would be suited for. But I mean that's a very niche game type solution or game type problem, right? AI has like other uses. But no, I think it's useful. I think it's just pretty hyped right now because it's just something new.
Absolutely. I know exactly what you were referring to about the Pokemon RNG as well, because I believe specifically with Sapphire and Violet, they have one of the worst random number generators for the engine, to the point where people figured out quite quickly how to cheese like their raid bosses. Like it took them like 3 days, and now everyone knows like the pattern to follow in raid fights. Also, when you mentioned that he wasn't as big of a fan as others, let's just say I'm so happy you did not utter the word. If you know, you know. If you don't, do not go looking. So
I don't want to go looking.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
I think I know where this is going. I don't think I want to look.
There's no law, Batman. There's no law. Don't go looking. Don't go looking. Oh God, where even were we? Oh, so yeah. Speaking on how hot things are and how stupid some people can be, I came across this story that I did not expect to see something like this so soon. And that story is a lawyer, or sorry, somebody who wanted to fight against a traffic ticket in court was like, hey, I'm going to hire an artificial intelligence bot to be my lawyer, to fight for me in an actual legal court. Lewis, do you know what happened next?
He was left out of the courtroom.
I mean, kind of, but like, no. He was threatened out of the courtroom. apparently a ton of various different practices had emailed him and was just like, yeah, no, we will sue you for malpractice because it takes schooling and licensing to be a lawyer, and your AI robot does not have a license. And also, do not give people ideas that could put my industry in the ground.
It's like a lawsuit within a lawsuit, essentially. I try to sue you for the technology used and for it not having a degree.
What director was behind Inception? Was it Cameron?
Oh, actually don't. Oh, wait a minute.
Inception. Let me just say creator, actually.
Ah, wait a minute.
Oh no, it was Nolan. It was a Nolan film. Okay.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
What's up?
Yeah, I was like, this name sounds familiar. This is the little AI robot thingy I was paying for a little bit. Yeah.
Is Squeezy me?
Huh?
Is
No.
Squeezy?
No, the do not pay.
Oh.
Mentioned here. Yeah. However, it's not really a lawyer. It's targeted as a lawyer, but it's more of a legal assistant. It basically just autofills forms for you. Like you give her permission on your behalf, like legal authority to like just fill out these forms for you and then send them on your behalf. It's not really like fighting a case for you kind of thing, like in this scenario. But it's the same company, which that's really funny.
Oh, that's wild, man. That is wild. But yeah, so I want to at least highlight. Okay, so I just learned something about an extension that I use is not cross-compatible across my devices. So my highlights do not carry over from my desktop to my laptop. Where was it? Even if it wouldn't happen, the threat of criminal charges was enough to give it up, he said. The letters have become so frequent that we thought it was just a distraction and that we should move on. Here it is. Multiple state bars have threatened us, Browder said. One even said a referral to the district attorney's office and prosecution and prison time would be possible. There's one more quote that I had highlighted in the past. You know what? Whatever. But yeah, man, it's wild out here. AI is getting even wilder. And speaking more specifically, I want to talk a little bit about OpenAI and their Chat GPT product, and essentially kind of how weird this coincides with a lot of the restructuring of some of the biggest tech companies, such as Microsoft and Google specifically.
Okay. I think I see where you're catching where you're throwing.
Yeah, so for the viewers and the listeners, we're about to get into ranting Zane mode. So I'm gonna give you fair warning that I'm about to get a little, little nasty on the mic. I work in the tech sector, right? And yeah, I've seen layoffs. I've seen the impact that the economy, the current state of the world, and etc. is in regards to the sector. Microsoft has just recently fired about 10,000 employees, 10,000 or 12,000, somewhere around that number of employees. Do you know?
Yeah, well, I don't know the exact number. I just remember it was Microsoft, Amazon, Google,
Facebook,
Meta, yeah. I'm like, what's their new name? And I heard IBM was planning to soon, or they already did. I didn't keep up with that.
Yeah, I think that happened literally either today or yesterday. Like they're starting to roll out IBM layoffs.
And then Netflix, I think, is the only one from Fang that has yet to do so. But I did post that article about them wanting to like kick off the freeloaders. I think that's their current approach right now. See if that works. Yeah, but yeah, things are tightening up for them.
You also heard about Netflix CEO, right?
No. Fill me in with that.
He stepped down. I think last week.
He stepped down.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So that's not a good sign. That tells me I'm getting off the ship before things get worse. so I don't got to deal with all this BS.
Taking his bags and cashing them out.
Yeah. But so these big companies, massive layoffs. So specifically when it comes to Microsoft, they laid off a buttload of employees. Specifically, it handicapped their AR department, their HoloLens project. The government paid about $2 billion to contract Microsoft to hook them up with some HoloLens powered hardware that will, give the military some new tech to work with in their drones and other technologies, right? So if they just handicapped an entire segment of their company that just got about $2 billion, that tells me, okay, well, they're trying to save money, right? But then, right after that, they spend $1 billion to invest into OpenAI ChatGPT. So, what that tells, that don't sit right to me. When you say that you need to fire a bunch of employees to stay afloat and to essentially restabilize your cost to profits margins, and then you spend a significant amount of money, $1 billion is a significant amount of money, to invest into OpenAI's artificial intelligence projects like ChatGPT, you value AI more than your thousands of workers who have literally constructed an entire sector of your business, that being HoloLens. That infuriates me. And I'm going to then lean this into Google as well, right? So, and this is less about AI, but more about the layoffs. Google, and shout out to Linus Sebastian, because he's the only other person that I've seen had the same mentality or thought process or something similar to, where it's like they fire 12,000 employees and their stocks go up by 5%. Typically, stocks go up because your investors feel confident in the movements that you're taking, right? Google admitted that they thought the economic stance, going into the 2022 and 2023 were going to be different when they started hiring a bunch of employees at the start of the pandemic. Cool. You know what? We all make mistakes, right? But what you're telling me here is your management is so, let me not say bad, because it could just be a really big mistake. But your management made a mistake, and we're not able to accurately, by any margin, understand that in 2 years, how many employees should you hire in this time to coalesce and be stabilized 1 to 2 years later? They were over their margin by 12,000 employees. That's not a small number. That when your management makes a mistake of hiring 12,000 people over your margins, that's bad. So then why the hell do your investors go, I have complete confidence in the fact that the managers did not do their due diligence in figuring out how many people they should have hired this year, as opposed to, having to fire over 12,000 because they hired too many. That's good news to me. No, it's not. Why are you rewarding bad management? Why are you rewarding bad calls? Why are you rewarding mistakes? No. Okay, ran over. Sorry.
Oh, there's a few theories in there. Crappy investors. Oh, and I was gonna make a joke there about what is it? 12,000. That's just a rounding error, Zane. Statistical anomaly there. Plus or minus 12,000. It happens to anybody. Yeah. Yeah. I see. I would have to be, I think, a very, very, very naive person to think that an AI system could replace 12,000 people. I mean, maybe a small group of 20 people, or I don't know, maybe replace a job that no one likes to do anyway, like a call center. I guess I don't think there's very many happy people that work at a call center. Um, I'm just saying if it's gonna replace any jobs, it's gonna be the jobs that people don't really like doing anyway, that they don't love driving into work every day.
Thank you for calling customer support. Please listen as our numbers have changed.
Para español, oprima dos. Right. Oh man, where is it going with that? Oh, right. I think it'd have to be either like really, really naive to think that one day I could replace all that, or I have to probably be thinking like, holy crap, like we need to cut this many people and just put it all like on red, just put it all on AI and just hope that's like a Hail Mary essentially. That's gonna be our saving grace here.
Oh snap! I didn't even I just recalled a point that Luc Lanfiniere, the co-host to WAN Show by LTT and LMG, Linux Media Groups. A lot of people are making use of ChatGPT, right? And as you mentioned, like you got to be naive to think that AI can replace a bunch of stuff, but apparently a lot of startups and small businesses are heavily utilizing ChatGPT for a lot of their support tickets and stuff, right? Cool. But as Luke points out, you are aware that this is all kind of like a trial run, right? And when OpenAI have a better idea of how to, monetize ChatGPT, your entire infrastructure that you're building your support on could get put either out of business. It could just stop working. You could now be charged within a day about 10 cents per communication back and forth with the system. I hope these people, in their naivety, is trying to think ahead before that happens.
I mean, they're also feeding the beast because they're feeding it more data and training it. So like by using it, you're making your situation worse. You're digging down further.
It's like those captchas, those like click all the tulips or all the hydrants. Yeah,
I freaking knew it. Like that's the only reason like the Google Captcha is free, because you're trading like a OCR algorithm, and yeah, it's like these AIs come out. I'm like, I freaking knew it. That's why it's free, because they're milking you.
Yep.
They benefit from it in some way or the other.
I always try to select one or two in
up.
value.
Like, no, I'm not making you super smart. I'm just making you smart enough so I can get through this page.
Yes. So it's wild, man, and I guess to pull in the last aspect of Google and OpenAI, we talked about how likely there won't be any concerns about losing any jobs for the majority anytime soon, but it was reported that Google does have some significant fear, not around employment and tools, whatever, but we see that Microsoft's investment into OpenAI is mainly to try to bolster their platforms like Bing, so you can have a better search system than Google. And apparently Google is afraid of that because Google had pulled out what's their name? Larry Page and Sergey Brin, the original two founders of Google, who retired from Google, but they sit on the board of directors for Google, or Alphabet now, if I'm not mistaken. But the Google pulled them back in to discuss how to handle and navigate into across the spectrum that is this new OpenAI. And apparently they went into a state of alert called Code Red. And that's interesting.
Yeah. I wonder what was said there in that conversation. Because that could mean a lot.
Yeah. There's some snippets. Apparently the person who leaked the information about them going into Code Red said they would not disclose the full conversations or what was said about it, but they gave like general synopsis of like the thought pattern. It was around potentially being overtaken in terms of like searches, ad revenue, and etc. So I don't know, man. I think the fact that we got Google and Alphabet reacting in such a spectacular way that does bode some type of indicator that probably not soon, but within the next 10 to 15 years, we're going to see a lot more AI being pushed across different industries, sectors, businesses, and even products. And honestly, dude, that only makes me even more concerned because I'm already in this state where, we talked about, I think in our last episode, stuff like Apple and their weird phoning home, and that the dad that had a virtual visit with his what do you call it? The doctors for kids, pediatrician.
Sorry, for kids pediatrician. My mind's a little foggy still.
I don't know, but he had a virtual visit with his kid's doc. And I think like the kid had a rash or something, so that's an infant or a toddler or something, very very young. And the doc said, "Hey, send pictures of the affected location." That affected location was private areas. And so the dad took pictures on his iPhone, sent to the doc.
Oh, right. The C scanner on iCloud.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember now.
And
Yeah.
so a week or two later, that dad had officers at his door, and apparently he had like legal nightmares for like a month or two before he got it all figured out. And again, I believe we talked about this in the last episode or even last season. The path to hell is often paved with good intentions. Nobody wants horrible stuff going on. Nobody wants perpetrators of horrible things to get away scot-free. But at the same time, one does not need to sacrifice their own privacy, their own peace of mind when they're not doing anything wrong purely because of your paranoia. So I'm just leave that there. And the fact that if a scanner can have false flags like that, imagine if you put similar type of AI into a lot of things. I don't like it. I don't like it.
Yeah, it's basically it's almost like into that like the AI lawyer, right? It's basically acting as like the evidence gatherer, and if it's bad at the evidence collecting, right?
Yeah.
Or it assumes, right? Because it doesn't understand context. That's a big problem with AI. Just it does not understand context. And what's the other one I'm thinking of? Slang and or nuance, right? But I was gonna also add in that like, if something were to happen to someone and they just kind of they get falsely accused or something like that can ruin someone's life, even just like being pulled into for questioning or just arrested for like a day, like in a police center, right? Like if people find out what you're in there for, and even though it's a false accusation, a lot of people that have been accused for that end up dead pretty quickly. Because a lot of people in prison were kind of abused at a young age. So not a good thing to be in prison for, even falsely, where it gets around in prison.
Yep. And
yeah.
And there are other topics. I thought about adding to the show notes, and I don't want to bring them up because what I see in the public discourse online, especially social medias and just the internet in general, because the internet is a cesspool. So, Lewis, any closing thoughts or statements from you as we wrap up the show?
Nothing more. Just I guess be wary of the word AI. It's not gonna take us over soon. I don't think. I think we're far away from that.
Then, like tomorrow, Skynet launches and attacks, and
I'll eat a shoe.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
everybody...
I just. Okay, go ahead. You
No.
can close it down.
Are you sure?
Yeah, you can close it down.
Okay. Well, everybody, that's going to do it for the show. Our viewers and listeners, I hope you enjoyed it. Today was a little bit more of a chill, more relaxed day. You can see I got my shawl on. This is like what I wear around the house. So I'm just, relaxing, drinking some coffee. Also, go Dogs. I'm a Panther myself, but I'm a Georgia boy, so I root for anybody Georgia. Try to stay safe out here. The economy is in the tank right now, and it's only going to go worse in the foreseeable short term. So try to make sure you keep a positive mental state. Drink water, stay hydrated, think about your nutrients, and honestly, disconnect from online when you need to. Social media is not healthy for you. Doom scrolling is not healthy for you. Being caught up on the news 24/7 is not healthy for you. Take some time, get outside, go for a walk, take a bike ride. Just breathe in the fresh air. All right? We will see you in episode 3 of season 3 sometime in the future. But until then, as always, take care.
Essence of Zen After Dark is recorded by and for geeks and nerds alike. The intro and outro songs were provided by ProLeader, who you can find at proleader.bandcamp.com. That is PROLETER.bandcamp.com. If you have suggestions for topics you want to see on the show, then feel free to drop by discord.chat/Essence of Zen and join the community and give us said suggestions. Thank you.